Hello everyone, this is Joakim from Sabaton and you are watching Chaos TV.
Okay, so hello everyone. Chaos TV is today here at Holta Strand in Helsinki, Finland, and we have the pleasure to talk with Joakim from Sabaton today. So first of all, hello and welcome to Finland, man, once again.
Hello and thanks for having me back.
Your second home, almost.
Yeah, it feels like that, but I like it here, so I'm happy to be here.
So, how are you doing at the moment?
If I'm honest, I'm a little bit tired because I've been on, PR tour for 2.5-3 weeks now, but it's the home stretch, so it's actually I'm way less tired than I should be actually.
So another way of touring, doing press.
Yes, it includes way less beer, but at least you see some more of the cities.
Yeah. So obviously we are here today because you have the upcoming album, The Great War, coming up on July. So first of all, could you tell us like a bit in the beginning about the whole writing process for the album? I guess it was a bit different this time around when you have like all members writing for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we ever stop really writing music or reading history because we like history basically.
Yeah.
But the real hardcore thing starts, I guess for us late May, June, early June last year, so a year ago. And that's when we are looking at the song ideas that we collected over the time, see where they're going, and we look down on a subject, and that's when we decided we're going to do an album about the Great War or World War One. So ever since then, it's been almost full time, and it becomes more focused this way also because since we decided on the Great War before most of the songs were written, the topic is also already influencing the songwriting as well, and then later on the production. So it is a bit of a darker album actually, and more atmospheric, I guess, than the previous two.
Okay, so first you decide the topic and then you start deciding and gathering ideas around it.
Yeah.
That's the way it works always for you.
Not always actually. The Last Stand we steered around in the last second, but in this case we had I guess one complete song and 3 or 4 song ideas before going in and knowing we were dealing with the Great War. And of course at that time we write music at the same time as we were looking at different stories. I guess we were looking at around 100 different stories we could tell. And it's really important for us that the music and the lyrics speak the same emotional language, Yeah. So sometimes we have to leave our own favorite stories out of it because there isn't music to it. But of course, even if we don't know exactly which battle we're doing it about in this case, we knew it was going to be about the Great War, and that puts you in a certain mindset, I guess, when composing.
Yeah. So obviously speaking about like the upcoming album, I watched an interview that Per did with Metal Casino, and he said in an interview that fans normally know what a Sabaton album is.
Yep.
So speaking about this album directly, did you had like a certain kind of like musical vision where you wanted to take the band? Because I guess you still want to stay like true to your roots as well.
Yeah, that's the problem I guess any artist has who's done more than 3 albums. How do you keep your core identity as musically and still innovate, and have some kind of progress? For us, I mean, I would say this is very much a Sabaton album, but there are quite a few surprises in there, for hardcore fans. So it's a tricky thing, both emotionally and intellectually, because of course, you want to. Ourselves, we grew up listening to 80s metal. That's where everybody in the band has in common,
Yeah.
80s metal. Everybody else, from every other aspect. Some people like 80s metal and harder. Some people like 80s metal and older, and so it is the common ground, which makes it a little bit easier for us. And I mean, Sabaton's core identity is based around that era's music. So we don't want to, stop doing that, which is a nice thing. However, though, in a sense, we don't decide before going into an album, is this going to be harder, faster, slower, softer? That doesn't make sense for us at all. We have to go where the music or the stories take us.
Yeah.
So this is a bit darker and more atmospheric. because we chose to do the Great War as a theme, I guess.
Yeah. So obviously, like generally speaking, you are playing for bigger audiences all the time. So how much do you actually think about that when you do the production for the album, that the songs sound bigger and more massive and kind of belong to bigger stages as well?
Not so much actually when making an album, but certainly when choosing a set list and stuff like that, and figuring those things out. I don't think we would do ourselves or our fans any favors by selecting songs because of their live appeal, in a way. I know already of a few songs on this album that we could play anyone live, of course, but isn't really going to work in a live setting. I mean, even playing, for example, in Russia, when we play the song Stalingrad, everybody wants us to play Stalingrad.
Yeah.
But halfway through the song, everybody's tired of Stalingrad because it's a pretty progressive, hard thing, and it's a really prolonged thing. So it's like, we know that, for example, with... I hope we one day, or we will rotate the second to last track, The End of the War to End All Wars, into the live set. But I also know it's now or never, because that's never going to turn into a live favorite, because it's not easy listening, it's not super catchy in any way, but it really belongs on this album, and it totally makes sense to do in this setting. But to do that, 10 years from now, nah, probably not.
So obviously there is a history version of the upcoming album as well. So where did you actually get the idea to that? And will you actually plan on using some of those history versions also when you are playing the new songs live? Or do you feel that those doesn't fit to the live setting in a way?
Oh, that's a good idea. I haven't even considered using history stuff for live. Yeah, maybe. It makes total sense. I think anyone, if you're listening to the Sabaton upcoming album for the first time, listen to the history edition, because it makes
it gives the songs a bit more kind of feel to them.
You get both, the basic info you need to enjoy the song in a way. We try to keep them short. It's a little bit like introductions, like we had on the Arto War, and they're not too long, but instead of sitting there for the first time trying to figure out what are we singing, or what's this song about, you already have that explained to you in a nice way in the beginning, so you can sort of sit back and enjoy the ride. Yeah,
I actually listened to that one first because I thought that it kind of gives the full experience more than just listening to the new songs itself.
Yeah, it does make total sense. I would say most people who have heard both are of that opinion, but especially for the first times. But I guess, once you know those intros in and out, and you have your friends over for barbecue and beer, you want to get straight to the metal. So of course, you want to get on with the regular version. But they're not totally similar though, because we've removed a lot of musical intros that were composed for the song for the historical version. So there's a couple of tracks that have quite substantial intros that aren't there on the history version, because it would be weird to sort of introduce the song about the Red Baron and then go into a 30-second composed intro, and then and there we go.
Yeah, and nowadays music listeners sort of like fast food, so they don't have the attention to listen to a minute and a half intro before the song starts. Yes. That's a fact. Yeah,
it's true. I mean, in how many parties have we all been at where if somebody has an open playlist where people can go and change music, what you hear is the intro verse and the first chorus, and then after that first chorus somebody's changing the track.
I hate those people who does that.
Me too. And you've been sitting there nicely waiting for your turn to choose a few songs. You choose 2 songs, put them on the playlist, and once the first chorus of the first song has been played, somebody's been in there and frustrating.
So you understand my feelings.
I totally agree. These people deserve to die a painful death.
So obviously you also launched your own history channel. So how big of a task has that been to you?
Quite big, but here's the thing. We are, we're very passionate about history, but we're not experts.
You can see that quite easily.
Yes, but it's we are not really doing the heavy research lifting here, which is where a lot of the time would go. And the production. So we are actually not much a part of the history thing. We talk about it when we plan the episodes, of course, and make sure that the events in the episode are not only including, but certainly including the way of the story we are telling in the lyrics. So in many cases, people have come back like, oh, okay, those lines in the bridge make so much sense now.
Yeah.
You know, why now I understand why you put them there, or what we're referring to. So, and I love it because I learned so much. I mean, no matter how much research we did, I understand we know nothing when I watched that episode.
Yeah, so you are kind of learning yourself along the way as well.
Yeah, and get to rediscover these places. I mean, we have so many good memories from writing those songs, finding out about these stories, or, you know, playing the songs live.
Yeah.
And to be able to, you know, first introduce the song, and then the history segment comes, which we are not a big part of, actually. Our music is in there, of course, but then at the end we talk about, yeah, how did we find the story? Have we met anyone who was involved in this? So, yeah, it's actually the most fun I had outside of, you know, being on stage or recording music, of all the crazy side projects we've done over the years.
Yeah. So obviously the first single from the upcoming album was firstly released by Apocalyptica as a cover. So where on earth did you get that idea?
That would be credited to Per, our bass player, and the boys from Apocalyptica, I guess.
Okay.
But I love the idea. However,
That's something that I haven't ever faced, at least that I'm aware that I've heard like the cover version first before the official version.
no, I mean,
Not that I am aware that I have ever heard something like that.
I don't think it's been done, actually. Maybe it has been, but
Yeah.
same here. I'm not aware of it anyway. But it's, you know, look, from, you know, why not?
Yeah.
You know, people ask us
Let's
why.
shake things up a bit.
Yeah, and I think it's good for both bands. I mean, they're at our festival, Sabaton Open Air this summer. We really like them, and they could do it, make it their own, because it's not like we're giving it to another 5-piece
metal band that would not make sense.
Yeah, and so we have a bit of cool cross promotion, good for both bands. And imagine, I would really want to hear, if I made a fan, okay, so when you heard the Apocalyptica version, how did you imagine the Sabaton version sounding?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
finding out, did we live up to the expectation? Was it like you imagined, or totally different? Were you expecting a ballad or something, you know, fast double kick drum, or
Did you actually read about the comments? Were people writing about that?
A bit, yes, but it's so hard because I can't counter, you know, with my own questions.
Yeah.
So I guess a lot of that will be face to face. But that will be my most asked question to you guys, actually, when I meet people, because I'm looking forward to hearing that. You know, bit of mind games, I guess.
Yeah. So obviously during the summer you will be coming back to Finland to play at Coop A Rock. So will you plan on actually adding a lot of the new stuff already to the set list for the summer, or will you keep kind of like a best of set list and put the new stuff to the set list in the fall when you start your own touring, or?
A bit of both, actually. It would make sense and people want it. So, of course, every song, I mean, I think by the time we do Coop A Rock, there will be at least one more song released. So, that if that's the case, then we're going to play that, Fields Overdone, and the single that is not on the album, Bismarck, as well. And with the new stage set we got and everything, everything is built to, you know, imaginary World War I battlefield.
Okay.
Trenches, barbed wire, totally redone. The only thing that remains is the tank, and that has been redone with more pyro positions, of course.
Okay, I was actually going to ask you about like this whole stage setup, because obviously it's already massive. So I guess you really need to pay attention that how can you basically top the older one, because you already have the tank.
Yeah.
I was going to suggest to you that you could have like a submarine there, or a helicopter or whatever,
Well,
or maybe even a whole army crew or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, submarine would be cool, but the World War I ones, the prototypes they started using there didn't look very cool, so we skipped that one. But yeah, where did we go? That's what we asked as well. So we decided to tear everything down and build a new thing instead of adding more to what we already have. We want to give it a bit of a different vibe to the show, and it makes total sense now. For example, we have from the Art of War, we have songs about World War I that we haven't had in rotation. Yeah, we played Clisso Gallipoli on the previous tour, so maybe not that one, but let's say Price of a Mile, for example, which is about the trench warfare and hell of, you know, the stalemates on the Western Front in Passchendaele. that makes total sense for us to play.
Okay, so you think those kinds of things as well, that they kind of fit also
Yeah.
war theme wise?
Yeah, I mean, they're both about the First World War, and it's a kind of a hardcore fan favorite, if you will, that we haven't played a lot lately. So it makes total sense for us to bring it on stage now, where we can do something really visual with it as well.
Yeah. Okay, so Joakim, thank you a lot for your time, and all the best for the upcoming album as well as for the summer European festival shows. Anything you want to say as last words to all the Finnish fans watching this afterwards?
Kiitos. Thank you for all the good memories. Yes, I know we're here a lot, and it's for good reason. We like it here. Hope to see you soon.